Welcome to the Holochronicles.
Hey, Josh.
What's up, Andrew?
Everybody out there, hope you had a great holiday season. It's been a few weeks since we last podded.
Happy New Year, right?
Yeah, 2019 is here.
I can't believe it.
Hey, Josh, how did you survive a December without a Star Wars movie?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That's crazy, right?
It's not been the norm.
It has not. We got soloed this year, so what was that, May?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Disney's like, we only made $400 million on this, so we'll have to not release a movie in December.
We're gonna wait a year and a half.
Yeah. No, I made it. I was good. I was okay with that. I think we need a little reprieve, a little bit of anticipation. I don't want to get too much force fed, but there's so much stuff coming up that doesn't matter. I can't even keep up as it is, so I don't need another one yet.
Not yet. You're okay with filling the space and time with some Avengers, Infinity War, stuff like that?
Yeah. No. Yeah, totally. That was fine with me. That was a great show. Man, I watched it again the other day. I was like, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Solo's coming to Netflix.
Yeah, no, I think it's here.
Is it here already?
Yeah. I watched it a couple times. It was good.
Already.
I mean, by watched it, I mean I got a half hour of it before I had to do something else. But yeah, it's good.
It's not a half hour.
No, yeah, December was good. Happy New Year to everyone. Lots of Star Wars stuff in 2019. We talked about last pod, but we definitely have the opening of the Galaxy's Edge.
That's
parks. Oh man,
on the forefront of the mind. I think with that, Josh.
Whoa. Straight into the news.
Straight into the Star
Holy
Wars
moly.
news.
All right, let's do it.
All right, well, as I was telling you a little bit earlier, I've seen all the Archive series figures out that are out right now, and those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
How
many are there?
The next phase of the Black series. There's, I don't know, 5 or 6.
5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah. They're heavy on the bounty hunters, which I am a fan of because I'm a bounty hunter fan.
Absolutely.
They released some more actors' names for The Mandalorian, but the thing that I found intriguing about The Mandalorian was an Instagram post a couple weeks ago from Jon Favreau, director of The Mandalorian series. Producer. And it was just a picture of IG-88, like a full recreated bust shot of IG-88, and it just said "Happy Holidays."
Man,
just a little.
So this is where we don't know anything, do we? So
no.
we have.
Is it a tease? Or is it just a cool shot of IG-88 on a green screen?
Oh, it was a green screen
Behind him, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So he's in it. Man, snap. So there's definitely theories going around for what the premise, who the character is going to be. Obviously, you have existing characters that could fill that spot from either the books or the movies or whatever.
New canon.
You and I were talking earlier about, and I know we talk about The Mandalorian a lot, but that's what's coming up. And that's going to be, I mean, think of if it hits right and if it's done right with Jon Favreau, it should be great. Think of a Star Wars Game of Thrones level production. That's what I'm hoping for. Like, I mean, obviously the money's there with Disney.
Do you think they'd really go like full Game of Thrones?
No. I'm not talking about
Disney entity.
No. I'm not talking about the content rating. I'm talking about just the production value, the investment in the series. I don't want it to be.
Hey, incest was cool in Star Wars before it was in Game of Thrones.
It definitely was. Yeah, Star Wars made incest cool.
Take that.
What I definitely want to see. I don't want it to be like a Mandalorian Texas Ranger type of half hour. This is getting done. And boom, he kicks some butt. Half hour type of deal. I really do want it to have an epic feel to it. I don't know what to expect, but I'm hoping. I mean, I don't know. We don't know that much about it, but that's what I want. Is I want that. And Game of Thrones is the example I give. I think we've referenced Game of Thrones. Obviously, we have a very small circle of things we like, but yeah.
Well, and if you want to get some other thoughts on, and we've talked about this in maybe the first podcast we did for the Holochronicles.
Way back 2 episodes ago. Yeah.
2 episodes ago. It seems like that was so 2018.
2018, man.
But you can listen back on those. We got a couple ideas of what we're hoping that it kind of has in it and content and if they have characters that we know, great, and if they don't, it could still be cool. I like how in the Resistance cartoon that they do have a couple familiar faces in it. But they're introducing us to a whole lot new.
Well, and they should.
New stuff.
There's a lot of people in the galaxy. But let me just get back to, I read an editorial. There's,
right.
three or four scenarios. One being it's a brand new character. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have the one shot of the armor, which looks very fresh and new.
And the gun.
And the gun.
The rifle.
Right. Fresh and new. Definitely emulates, Boba and Jango's armor, Mandalorian armor, but looks pretty shiny. So that's where one of the theories was, I forget his name, it's not in front of me, but from the Aftermath series, kind of one of the subplots they had there was a gunslinger from Tatooine who's righting wrongs and doing justice, but he finds this armor in a junk, in a junk pile, which is kind of crazy. It's on Tatooine, so where'd this armor come from?
Where does Mandalorian armor come from on Tatooine?
So you get to your own implications there. I was like, okay, so either it's salvaged from, I don't know, maybe the Sarlacc
Upchuck
toilet zone. I don't know. Or Boba gets out and is like, I'm done with this armor, and I'll throw it in the junk. But I don't know. Then of course you have it's Boba himself, but like we referenced, the armor looks pretty shiny.
Yeah, it looks more Jango than it does Boba.
Yeah, it really does. You have a Jango. There's all these. I don't know. There's many theories, or many speculations, but whatever. I think it'll be something new. But with IG-88, that brings in bounty hunters, so I just don't know. Yep. And if you don't know, the Aftermath character, like I said, he was like a lawman, but he was wearing Mandalorian armor, so whatever. A lot of fans are lamenting about the fact that it's going to be connected to the Mandalorian, like, society, which I guess they didn't like too much from the Clone Wars.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know.
I didn't mind that.
I don't know.
I didn't mind it.
Right?
Didn't hate it.
Can't make everyone happy, but
I think at the very least, Josh, we're
going to watch it.
Yeah. we're excited to see what happens next.
We will definitely be watching it. I can't wait to watch it so we have that to talk about. It'll be great.
Yeah, we'll actually quit speculating recklessly and talk about real stuff. New Resistance trailer, by the way. That looked really cool.
It was cool. I was behind, prompted me to go and watch an episode, which was fun. I'm still behind. I had to keep watching. No time for all this stuff. But I really like the animation. The pace was cool. Yeah. And starts right out with Poe. Kind of, so they're connecting the dots. It's going to be great.
They hook you right away and like, hey, familiar guy.
And I'd like to see Poe doing something outside of what we've already seen him do, because I think he's a great character that we just haven't seen the most out of yet. So,
do you like Poe better in the Resistance?
Oh, you're darn right. He's
I do too.
He's just better.
Yeah. Moving along.
All right, move along.
Is there anything else in the Star Wars news that you wanted to chat about?
So there was a speculation on a tweet that went out for Christmas gifts from the set of Episode 9.
Oh yes,
which was cool, and they were gifts for some of the, I forget which zone they had a name for it. Whatever filming area they were at, but it was like a brother that was working on the set gave his brother those gifts for Christmas, which is crazy. I don't know why he would give those away to anybody for Christmas. He must not be a Star Wars fan. Can you imagine
working on Star Wars and just
not being a Star Wars fan?
Nah.
Yeah, like, I'll give it to my brother. He watched Clone Wars once.
Or he loves his brother
a lot.
So
they really
saved his life once or something.
Yeah, they really overanalyzed that picture. The brother had like some little jars of sand or something, which were not part of the gift. He had actually included them to sweeten the deal, I guess, from I don't even know how you sweeten a deal from a cast gift, but lots of good stuff. The one thing that I liked about that, this is from that editorial, was they talked about the people on the set having tears of joy on a few of the clips that they had filmed, like that happy about how it was coming together. So there's some positive, I don't know,
There's not any grumblings of a I don't like how this Luke version is being portrayed.
Yeah,
from
he's
Mark
dead.
Hamill.
He's dead.
Yeah, from Mark Hamill.
Mark.
There's not like grumblings along the way. I was like, I'm not. I'm going to do it the way they want me to, but I don't really. I'm
Not
down
yet.
with it.
And so, and you and I were just talking. I think we should rehash that. It's like, is it going to be the J.J. Abrams, then the Johnson, and then the J.J. Abrams? I was joking around with you that I want to see episode 9 start with like Luke waking up from a dream. Like Hermit Luke, it's fine. He can still have long hair and a beard.
What?
He's like, what just happened? Oh, yeah. I dreamt that I force projected myself and screwed everything up. And I drank green milk. Oh, man. Oh, ew.
Weird.
And then Ray lands in the Falcon with Chewbacca, and he's like hugging Chewbacca, and he's like, oh, my God, you brought the saber. Oh, he like high-fives Ray, and he's like, oh, absolutely, you could be my apprentice.
And then he's all busted up because Han's dead.
Yeah, he's like, what?
Yeah.
Cries a little bit.
Yeah, and ends up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a very fun Dallas.
Yeah. Dallas Indian gun.
JR's not actually.
JR is alive, and that's what I want to see. Actually, I'm hoping that Abrams can pull that out. Hey, look, purple haired lady'd still be alive. Hodor.
Yeah,
Hodor.
Hodor.
Always call her Hodor. Holdo would be alive. I mean, everything would be great.
Yeah.
We could make some choice decisions. Rose's sister is fine.
Yeah, she actually makes it.
Yeah.
But they still blow up the dreadnought. And
Yeah, they just do it a better way, where they don't just send Poe in and they just decide to like ambush it. Yeah.
Why do bombers got to be slow?
I don't know.
Send in
it's
some
space.
A-wings.
You know
A-wings
that the mass in space has nothing to do with anything, right? It's all weightless, right? So yeah.
Y-wings. Y-wings are the bombers. Send in the Y-wings.
Send them in. They know how to.
They trench ran.
They're fine. They've already proven themselves.
Yeah.
Like what?
Hey,
30 years ago.
If it ain't broke.
So anyway, Luke wakes up.
Yeah. Oh man. I just had the worst dream. It was called Episode 8.
He's in bed with Wicket. I don't know. We're off the rails here. All right. So anyway, that's some
might be off the rails.
That's some good. There's some news. So. So you got anything else you wanted to share? Or
in the news, no. Billy D. Williams won an award, Black Actors Award. So tip of the cap to him for that.
Nice.
I appreciate all of his hard work in the Star Wars series and in Colt 45 commercials.
Oh, absolutely. And aren't we seeing him? Aren't we going to see him in Episode 9?
That's the rumor.
Can you frickin' imagine?
That's the rumor.
If you want to save the series, bring in Lando. All right.
Hello, what have we here?
Damn right.
All right. Hey, that actually is a great segue into our collector tip of the day. And what kind of the whole genesis of this idea of making a podcast is that, you and I and our buddy Trevor and our friend Sheldon and our affiliate Keith, we are... We're collectors. We collect memorabilia, the old vintage toys, and some of the Black Series stuff. We're Star Wars fans. We collect, and we kind of talked about making a podcast for collectors by collectors, FCBC.
Yeah.
And
but also kind of layman's. Like we're not the experts on anything. We're just passionate about certain things. So
yeah. And as we go along through this collecting and kind of building up what we have and, getting a collection, pass along things that we've learned along the way and share it. And so that any other potential collectors out there or new people, young people that want to get into it, they don't make some of the same mistakes that we made.
Right.
And because ultimately, we all have our different tastes and what we want and what we want to get and how we want to get it. But, there's no sense everybody making the same mistakes. And if we learn something cool along the way, to pass it along. So,
what do you got?
Well, actually, before I get to the tip, I want to just ask you, Josh, have you gotten anything recently?
I have.
Let's hear it.
But it wasn't like anything collectible. It was purchased outright at retail price.
That's okay.
I gave myself a gift for Christmas.
Those
And
are
the best part of the gift was that,
You knew what you wanted and you got it.
yeah, that's really great. And then I let my wife wrap it and give it to me. It was great.
Yeah.
But I found out about it, and there was a countdown and a timer, and it involved, I think I communicated with you and others. I'm like, this is happening. And it involved me being on a website and clicking purchase as many times as I could for about 10 minutes, or add to cart, not available, add to cart, not available, add to cart, not available. And then I'm like, after 5 minutes, you're like, this is wordless. It's too late. Other people with faster connections have beaten me to this purchase. And as I'm like staring off into space, clicking the button, the screen changes and says, added to cart. You have 7 minutes to complete this purchase, which is then I'm like, hands are shaking, can't get the wallet out, the card's not coming out. But what it was I was following or maybe you sent it, somebody sent it to me, you sent it.
I did.
The Columbia Sportswear Empire Crew Parka replica,
Yeah.
which is a legit jacket.
Oh, it's warm.
It's very warm. It's very Columbia sportswear. If you've ever, if you know what Columbia is, it's a high quality product designed for,
The extremes.
the extremes. And this is the crew version of the Empire Strikes Back. So what they wore on set, it's a replica. They got picture. It comes in a cool box.
It's got a big furry hood.
Big old furry hood, like a Han Solo like hood. Which is ridiculous because when you put it up, it just falls directly down to your chin and you can't see anything. But you look cool. You look really cool in it. Yeah. So
It's awesome.
I got that for Christmas. It's got a really cool patch on it with like Empire. What does it say? Empire Crew or something like that. Norwegian unit, and then it has a replaceable patch that I could put my name on it if I want to and look really cool. But yeah, so I was pretty excited about that. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it. Because I tell you what, it's good up to like 30 degrees below, and I put it on, and I'm like, I can't wear it anywhere. It's very blue.
It is. It's a handsome jacket.
It's a very handsome jacket.
Have you taken the tags off it?
No, never.
So,
that's what's scaring me.
That's kind of the answer to your question then on what to do with it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what to do. That's a collector's quandary right there. So we were discussing like, well, if you're not going to do anything with it, or maybe it wasn't with you. But anyway, I was like, and if I'm just going to put it in the box, should I let somebody else enjoy? You know what I'm saying? I almost feel like passing it forward. Not that I want to make any money off of it.
Right. This is something that could be collectible that is actually functional.
Right.
Like this isn't a 3 3/4 inch figure.
No, this is a legit jacket. You could go up into the tundra with this. Yeah, snowboarding. You'd look badass snowboarding, by the way. You would look great.
Yeah.
And just laser beam shooting and snow exploding around you, and you'd be fine.
Well, I mean, would that be the worst thing to do?
Yeah, I'm tired of snowboarding. I hate it. I'm too old for it now, so I could go up and like hang out at the lodge. Just moving my park around. So anyway, check it out. It's sold. It currently sold out.
Josh bombing down the hillside.
Damn right. It's sold out. It's out there. Go check it out. It's a cool piece. I think that's where I'm really at. It's a pretty cool piece. And
so I've seen them online, either on eBay or on OfferUp in the Northwest here, anywhere from $550 to $1,200. And then there was I don't know how many. I don't remember seeing the number, but there was a number that Mark Hamill signed.
He did,
and those I have seen upwards around $2,500.
Yeah, he signed a bunch, and actually the flagship store for Columbia is in Portland, Oregon, right next to where we live. That's their main store, and I happened to be a few hundred miles away when that dropped, and to be honest with you, I probably had a better shot doing what I did. Obviously, not getting a signed copy from Hamill, but I'm sure the line was ridiculous, and you would have had to show up a few days before. I mean, but that would have been worth it. But yeah, it's a cool piece. Check it out. I'm sure you can find it on eBay or other sites. If you want to find, wear a cool blue jacket.
Well, Columbia has a few Star Wars.
They do. They have the Luke Hoth, and the Han. And those came and went already. Those are pretty pricey.
And they had a Leia.
Did they have a Leia?
Yeah. There's a little white one. It's pretty slick.
So yeah, they're pretty cool, man. Tell you what.
Okay, you ready for the tip?
I am.
So I think the tips that we've had so far are narrow your focus, collecting anything and everything that's Star Wars is going to get overwhelming pretty quick.
Right.
If you can, the earlier that you can kind of decide what you're into, whether it be the posters and the artwork or the figures and the vehicles or the vintage or the Black Series or Power of the Force, whatever it is that, even Shadows of the Empire, that kind of like that stuff. The sooner that you can kind of decide what you love and what you really think is awesome, then you can start. Then you can really start collecting in a specific way.
Yep.
And that was something that I learned about 10 years ago. It's like, man, there's a lot of vintage stuff. And there was some crazy stat that I saw on Kenner. It was actually junkman.com. He has a Twitter handle that seems like he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. I've interacted with him a little bit on Twitter, but by 1978 or 1979, that there was like over 48 million Star Wars items in existence, out there that Kenner had made. So that's just like figures and vehicles, that kind of stuff. And so while some of that stuff is old and rare, it's not necessarily that rare.
Right.
There's a ton of it out there, but a lot of it's been lost over time. Anyway, that was one of the first tips that we had. The tip that I think it's very short and sweet, but can open some doors for you. There's this one question that if you're going to look at something or if you're inquiring online, whether it be Craigslist or OfferUp or eBay, or this question it can be a game changer for you, and that is this everything you got?
Mm-hmm.
There have been times where you go look at something, or the guy's got something for sale, or a gal's got something for sale, and you're going to check out one thing, or you're inquiring about it, and then you ask the question, well, you have anything else, or is this all you got? Sometimes that can open a door like, yeah, I actually got a lot more stuff, but I'm just kind of starting to put things up for sale, and this was just one of the first couple things, and then you can get in on some some big lots or some other things that just opens up the door for more, and even if the answer's like, no, this is all I got, then you move along.
Yeah, it keeps it simpler too for the transaction, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same area that you. And I think we talked a little bit about that already, but finding you go there for one reason, and at least because you told the story of going there for another collection and then finding out they had a Star Wars collection. This is kind of in the same area of just asking, and they may think that the things that they have aren't worth anything, like the other things. They're like, no, these are vintage characters or vintage figures. These are what I thought were worth something, but they could come to find out they've got posters or whatever in the background, which are also very awesome, sheets or blankets.
Yeah, that was today. I bought speaking of things that we have gotten recently, I bought a couple items today down in Portland. I drove down there, and the thing that I bought a box of Star Wars stuff that had been sitting in a garage for a number of years, and that's kind of how a lot of the times this works. And I was interested in the set because they had a carded R2-D2,
right,
vintage original, and
nice.
Yeah, it's cool. And so I was inquiring about that, and also the guy was like, "Yeah, we have some other things too," and I just kind of threw in this comforter for a twin bed that was mine when I was a kid, but we just kept it, and it's a Star Wars comforter, and I got these couple curtains too. It was kind of a matching set, and so I got those part of it too, and I washed them, and they look great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find a place to hang them up.
I actually got in one of my purchases. Oh, actually, I told the story about finding the cool piece the last time. Well, one of the other cool pieces in there were Return of the Jedi sheets. I think I might have even mentioned it. I legitimately had Return of the Jedi sheets as my curtains as a kid. Like we were, I kind of grew up that way where, window doesn't have curtains. You nail up a sheet.
Yeah, you put sheets up.
And they were Return of the Jedi. So I have those sheets, which, by the way, are worth this is a twin bed sheet that I can't put on anything.
Yeah.
It's worth like $100. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I used it as a curtain as a small child.
Still got it?
No. Dang it. Not that one. But I have a new one. I got another one. And that's the kind of thing that's like, I don't know. I remember the gal saying, I don't know if you want this, but here's a sheet. And I'm like, yeah, you put that in there. It says Return of the Jedi.
You're darn right I want that.
Darn right I want that. It's the only thing that's worth anything here.
Okay. Well, I think that was that's the tip for today.
That's a good tip. You always got to ask.
Is that everything?
What do
What's
you
the
got?
worst that can happen, Josh?
They can say yes.
That
Which is
sometimes
like,
is
no.
worse.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is worse because you end up spending a lot more money. But that's never bad. You find a way.
You sure do.
I've got an idea. We talk about collector's tips on this. One thing that I think we'll start doing a little bit too is adding to Easter egg discussions. Like, there's enough Star Wars movies out there now, and television shows, and that you get little nods to other movies, other series, other people that maybe the passerby or the casual Star Wars fan wouldn't necessarily grab onto or see, and those are fun for me. Like, whenever there's a new trailer that comes out for Star Wars, you always look through it, and you get on YouTube and see spoiler alerts, and they try and read in what's there, and like, oh, that's a nod to this, and that's a nod to that, and they do it in a lot of movies, of course, but George Lucas and Steven Spielberg have a pretty tight connection that goes pretty far back. And what was the Easter egg last time with Indiana Jones?
Yeah, it was the idol.
It was the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, and then
In Solo.
Yep.
Yeah. And there was another one since the last one we talked about had a Steven Spielberg connection that there's an E.T. Steven Spielberg Easter egg in the episode 1,
right,
where Padme's in the Senate in that big crazy room where there are all the pods with
Thunderdome.
the Thunderdome, exactly. There are all the pods of different creatures and aliens that make up the Republic, and kind of in a bottom left corner there was 3 ETs.
That's so cool.
In the
Just pointing accusingly with their giant fingers.
It was a noisy moment, and they were being active, which we all know means
phone home.
But yeah, so which is a kind of a callback to E.T. There's a Halloween scene. There's one of the nights in the movie E.T. is Halloween, and Elliot walks around with E.T. in open view.
He's an alien,
playing open sight there.
Well, he has a little ghost hood on.
Right. He's
on.
a ghost, right?
Yeah.
He's a ghost. But he walks by a kid dressed up as Yoda. And E.T. kind of does a double take and kind of points at him like, what?
I know, that's a cool circle, because that's like 1984 or something, right?
Right. That's shortly. I mean,
shortly
that's,
after
that's,
Empire.
That's in the midst.
Or Jedi.
Yeah, that's in the midst of peak Star Wars, and they kind of tip the cap there, because of course there's kids walking around on Halloween in Yoda outfits,
or Vader, or Luke,
any of that, and so it made perfect sense that there was a kid in the Yoda outfit, and then for E.T. to kind of, hey, I know that guy,
right, show up on
have that response, and then only to have, in 1999 in the Senate, 3 ETs,
it's super cool.
They're just completing the loop, and I've always thought that was a nice little back and forth that, maybe you saw it, maybe you noticed it, maybe you didn't, but I appreciated it.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. Spielberg's got a lot. I mean, him and Lucas worked pretty closely together, so for a long time.
Long time. All right. Last thing that I wanted to ask you, Josh, and it's a question. And we haven't talked about this. We're spitballing here a little bit.
Go on.
What was, I don't know, best you could put it, what was the failure of the Jedi?
Like overall?
Yeah, because in the prequels, they were completely taken off guard by the fact that a Sith leader was actually running the show. Not just that there was a Sith leader and an apprentice.
Well, I think that was their first failure, right? They were completely taken off guard that there was a Sith leader,
Right, and not just out there, but in the midst of them. Mm-hmm. Right? And when that finally came out, it's like we were blinded to the fact. Okay, well, why? Why were they blinded to the fact? What was their failure?
I mean, that's a great question. You have some really great minds. You've got Yoda, obviously, leading. You got Mace. Mm-hmm. You've got some powerful Jedi. I think they may have been too comfortable in their seat.
Ki-Adi-Mundi.
What's his name?
Plo Koon.
Plo Koon, and then I'm gonna die, which is hilarious because it sounds like I'm gonna die, which he did. He got killed pretty quick.
Yep.
I don't know. It seems like you have, especially at Coruscant, you have this seat of power. The Jedi have their own room. That's a big deal. They sit around in a circle.
They have their own temple with their own spires.
Obviously amazing, right?
Yeah.
Doing really good. Doing good for themselves, right?
Yeah.
They've got, Jedi Casino Atlanta. I mean, they're doing great. Okay? But it seems like I think they were a little naive. I would say that the biggest fault of the Jedi is that they're naive because while they talk about worrying about the dark side so much, they never really saw it coming. And then, of course, Palpatine was insidiously ingenious, by being able to manipulate a very young, powerful Padawan under another master's care, which is pretty insane, right?
Yeah.
So you grab Anakin. He's got more midichlorians than anyone else in the world
ever,
or the galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and to what I think also plays into it, it's been like 1,000 years since the air quotes old Republic,
Right.
And where there was a Sith planet. This was before there was just a master and an apprentice. There was a ton of them,
Right.
and but once that was kind of squashed, then there were definitely things to keep the peace about over that time, but there wasn't that imminent threat that that just pure evil that had a goal to take everything over. I mean, there wasn't just that big thing, and so yeah, you could say that they got complacent. That once they had finally achieved knocking off a lot of the bad guys, so to speak, that they got complacent, and I always thought that their failure was seeing their gift of being able to use the Force as a power. Because they talk a lot about the Force as a power, definitely on the Sith side. You don't know the power of the dark side.
Right.
But Yoda talks a lot about the Force being powerful and being an ally, and using the Force in what would seem to be healthy and correct ways. But
Yoda's a bit of a show off. I mean, we remember the whole X-Wing thing, right?
Yeah, the swelling music and Empire Strikes Back, and that is why
that
you
was
fail.
A little showy offy.
Yeah, he's flexing his little 900-year-old body on him.
Yeah, he's like, I still got it.
Take that, Luke.
Right.
You whiny boy. But I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I feel like thinking that instead of being able to use the Force as is a gift, and unless it's a power to use, because they'd go send a Jedi or two to settle a dispute, okay, and sometimes that meant using their powers, when necessary, to alter a weak mind to an agreement or something like that. And it just seemed a little disingenuous.
Yeah, diplomacy usually involved a lightsaber.
Yeah,
Pretty much in everything
aggressive
we've
negotiations, right? And they say that tongue in cheek, but it's like, okay, so now they're not really relying on their abilities to actually come to conclusions that both sides agree on necessarily. They're manipulating a party into doing something that they felt like would be the best interest of.
So what you're getting at is that the Jedi may have been a little too
cavalier,
but even hypocritical, right?
Yes.
Because if they're talking about the danger of power, especially given the dark side and the power that it holds, yet their interactions still involve. It's like the classic. It's the classic religion comparison, right? A religion can, say do as we say, not as we do, and then you've got a bit of a Jedi thing going on there. Like, hey, don't abuse power. Yet, if you need to solve this problem, use your power. Just get it done, right? Don't.
Yeah, just turn your lightsaber on.
Yeah, yeah. Just shove it through a wall and cut a hole in it and get it done, right? Don't knock.
Yeah, and so either by the Jedi's own doing and acknowledging that that their gifts are unique and their talent, their special purpose, whatever you want to call it, like in the Jerk, special purpose. Either that they decided they were going to be the ones that knew best for the galaxy, or that everybody else agreed that these people are special and unique and we'll let them speak on our behalf, in matters of dispute, or we want them fighting with us because we're on the right.
Well, they were the military generals. I mean, from everything we've seen, like in the Clone Wars, it was the Jedi that ran the clones. I mean, they're essentially the military.
Well, they became that. I don't know if they were always that though.
But they have to be. They were martial in their own, by their own right. They're martial. They
were martial.
They have
You're right.
swords and power, right? So they're going to.
So either by their own doing or by election, the Jedi became.
Jedi don't get elected.
I know, but everybody kind of agreed that the Jedi were the good guys and that they were going to.
So
that they were going to decide what was fair and right for everybody.
But so that's like the conundrum in any galaxy. As soon as somebody has the power to decide what's right, they ultimately do the wrong thing.
Well, and what we saw with the Jedi is that who checks them? Who checks the Jedi?
Nobody. They didn't do jack except when it was too late. That was the problem.
Right.
And they got Order 42?
66.
66th out of the Order 42 is just to actually change your socks. But 66 is to kill all
You don't want
Jedi.
Swampfoot.
No. The Lieutenant Dan says you got to take care of your feet.
Yeah. You got to wear a pair around your neck.
There you go.
Yeah, so the Jedi's failure, definitely complacent, right? Things have been good for a long time.
Right, 1,000 years.
So
Which lends the question, how can you call the Galactic Empire an empire when it basically lasted 30 years? 20?
I think they're a little premature.
I mean, they went full empire. We had an emperor.
Yeah.
He was the same guy that created it.
Well, therein lies. You know what? I'm going to create something, and I'm going to call myself
The emperor
yes.
of that?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
that's what happened with the Roman Empire.
Well, but they lasted, 1,000 years? I don't know. The galactic years may be different over in that galaxy far, far away. But
might not be.
I mean, they had like a 20-year run.
Yeah. It wasn't long, but it then became.
That's like the Euro.
The New World Order, or not the New World
First Order.
not the NWO, but
very similar. And now that's on obviously on a 3-episode path of being just obliterated pretty quick too. I mean, these are the worst empires in the history of the universe, let alone the galaxy.
Air quote empire. Throw that word around.
Wow.
Rather lightly.
Yeah, they should come to Earth. We got some stuff going on here. All right.
Yeah. Is Earth in the?
That was a long time ago. We don't know.
In the galaxy far, far away.
Yeah,
So the Earth wasn't a part of that.
No.
This is just a story from somewhere else.
We were expanding at that moment.
Yeah. So I feel like Anakin, his failure was that he sought out ultimate power, and even though it started off genuine, like I want the ability to save people that are dying. Like bring people back to life.
Right.
That was a motivation from his mom. That was a motivation for Padme. That's why he turned to the dark side. And he got some honey in his ears from.
He was promised
from Palpatine, but his intention starting out good ended up being the reason why he failed, because he sought out the power instead of. Death is a part of life.
Right.
It's a circle of life, if you will. Luke's failure was that he saw the power and ran from it.
Right.
And I think he probably, better than anybody, understood the Force as a power can be very dangerous. And so his failure was, he's gone.
Right. So now you're missing.
Yeah.
When you have a last Jedi.
A guy that could temper, opposing sides, and who that's who Luke became in the original.
Right.
The Jedi who balanced the Force, or at least, brought Anakin back to the good. And
right. He was looking for.
Yeah. But then when he bails and there's nobody else, then that's kind of a failure. And Kylo, what's Kylo's failure? He's out for power, and he doesn't. He's not with the Jedi necessarily. He's not necessarily with the.
Still trying to figure him out.
Galactic Empire.
He's not a Sith, is he?
No, I wouldn't say he is. I don't think he's down with either of those two opposing sides, Jedi and Sith. But he's definitely out
He's
for
a libertarian,
power.
is what he is.
He's a libertarian. He's Green Party.
Yeah, he's Green Party.
But but he's definitely seeking out the power side of it.
I hope, that's my hope, is that we actually find out what Kylo's whole goal, what's his purpose. I mean, he was working for Snoke, apparently up till now.
Just getting beat like a dog.
And now he's pissed. He got really angry, but Luke's dead.
He's been angry the whole time, though. Let's be honest.
He's really been throwing stuff around.
Slashing things.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the deal. Yeah. I mean, if you already knew it was coming, you wouldn't be excited about the next movie. And us being who we are, we'd be. So that's a great question. I don't know what the role of the Jedi are, and where does Rey fit into that? She doesn't know anything. She's been untrained because Luke didn't train her.
Nope, but she's got the books.
But she does have the book. So are we seeing the reformation of the Jedi Order under the gray guidelines? Meaning there can't be a light side and there can't only be a light side and a dark side.
Yeah.
And then Broom Boy, whatever hell he does, he sweeps things up. Hello.
Hey.
That was Alexa. Don't worry about that.
All right. Hi, Alexa. They did kind of open the possibility for the gray Jedi.
I think the gray is where we're going. As a matter of fact, what was Luke wearing? Gray. So that's where the gray Jedi, I think, is the next step, which is very, Gandalf-esque. I like that. Like, hey, Gandalf went off on his own. He went gray for a while. So I think we're going to have a gray Jedi who's able to straddle the dark side and the light side and find a balance between the two. Because a true balance would be the acceptance of both powers. But you can never have an acceptance of both powers if you only have two opposing forces that are light and dark. Right. And when they meet in the middle, it becomes an end all.
Yeah, there's even there was like a little, I don't know if it was a little pool in Luke's little hillside there that looked yin yang ish. There was dark tiles and light tiles.
I really think we're finding the gray. So and what was Ray wearing? She was wearing gray as well, like a bluish gray.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to find a gray Jedi, whatever that means, and it could be a new order. Maybe there's going to come a new name out of this, where it'll be the Radii or the Rith, the Rith,
the Jith,
the Jith. It'll be a Lithby. It'll be a very Lithby order, but it'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, Josh, that's all I got. You got anything else?
No. I think that's good. I'll just give a quick plug. Because I still play the game. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Just introduced some new characters. They're really fun. C-3PO just came out.
What does he do?
It's great. He's got some cool Now, I actually haven't been able to acquire him yet because it took some pretty powerful characters that nobody beefs up, namely Ewoks, to get him. So he's called the Gold God, right? So you had to beef up your Ewok characters to be able to complete the event in order to obtain him.
Is madness.
Yeah, exactly. And so I scrambled for a month because this is one of those slow play or pay to play games, which I was not paying to do. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is a great game. It's fun. It's really fun because it's almost like a collector game because you collect these characters and you build them up and you're so happy. But I wasn't able to get through. But what he does is he's pretty much a support protection type of guy. He gives lots of tenacity and speed and all kinds of crazy features to your other 5 tunes that are going at it. So
yeah, I don't know if I want just a stiff droid on my side.
He's a meta.
We're doomed.
Yeah, he's a meta changer. So when you have 3PO, all of a sudden all the other characters like Commander Luke Skywalker from Empire and Chewbacca, original Chewbacca. There's 3 Chewbaccas in this game, by the way. All the Clone Wars Chewbacca. I think there's 4. There's 4 Chewbaccas. Veteran Chewbacca, solo movie Chewbacca, and then the OG Chewbacca, who's just a badass. And he cost a lot to get. So, yeah. Anyway, there's my plug for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. They also released Arena, which is really fun. If you don't have it, it's free to play. You can get out there. It's a slow play, but it's just, if you love Star Wars, there's just a cool, a nostalgic aspect to it of, leveling up. So,
yeah.
Congratulations. Thanks, 3PO, for showing up. And
Hold on.
yeah, I got you. I'm done now.
I think if we talk any more about Galaxy Heroes, they got to start paying us.
Oh, yeah. No, it's EA. They're fine. They won't pay you anything. I'll pay them.
It's in the game.
It's in the game. So, yeah, I think that's it.
All right, bud. Well, thank you for listening to the Holochronicles Podcast. Josh, until next time.
Andrew, it was great. May the Force be with you.
You may fire when ready.